I want you to imagine for a second, your ideal client is wanting the type of service you offer. They head over to Google and search for companies that offer what you do. And your website is at the very top of the list. They click on your website, they book, and now you have a new piece of business. How much more money would you have if your business was the first thing to pull up when people went on Google? I'm guessing you'd have way more. Now, imagine the same client goes to Google, types in the same thing, but your website and brand are nowhere to be seen. You'd be losing a ton of business. And I'm going to bet that's happening right now. There are hundreds, thousands, possibly even tens of thousands of your perfect customer looking for what you provide, but they can't find you. So what do? How do we become the business people find when they look on Google? The answer is 3 words: search engine optimization, or SEO. Now, you may have heard of SEO before, and if you're like me, it sounded almost too complicated to take the time to learn and to apply to my website and my business. But after sitting down with our guest today, I feel like I know more than 95% of businesses out there. His name is Daniel Driggs. He is the owner and founder of Crisp Catering. And over the last 2 years, he's been able to grow an amazing business, serve thousands of customers, with some paying him over 30 grand for his food and service. Today, he's going to tell us the 5 things to look at so we can optimize our website and brand to show up on the front page of Google. Things like website speed, title tags, content, and more. If you don't have a website, this episode might not be for you. And if it's not for you, go get a website so you can start getting your brand in front of people who are ready to give you money. So if you're ready to learn how to be seen by more people, stick around for this episode with Daniel Driggs. This is Utah Hustlers, a podcast on how to build your business to $10,000 a month. My name is Skylar Beitendorf, and like you, I'm an entrepreneur. And it's my mission to help you achieve success, happiness, and freedom on your own terms. Really quick, at the end of this episode, there's something I want to give you, and I think it will be a big help. It's one-on-one coaching, and I'm doing 1 session for free for you this month. If you feel like you know exactly what you need to do, but you have a hard time implementing it, then there's a reason why, and I want to assist you in moving forward. Anyway, that's it for right now. On to the episode.
My name's Daniel Driggs. I'm the owner and founder of Crisp Catering, a local Utah company. We do weddings, parties, bar mitzvahs, kind of just whatever you guys need to make your event perfect. And so we do paninis, fries, donuts, just everything. And our specialty is hot food right there that we make for your guests. It's fun. I love it.
How long ago did you start Crisp Catering?
So we've only been in business 2 years. I've done catering for 4 or 5, but yeah, it's been 2 years and it's been an exciting 2 years for sure.
So you worked for another company doing catering and then just thought, hey, I should start my own thing?
Yes. So I'm still good friends with my old boss, but we had just crazy growth, mainly because I had a big sales and marketing background. And when he hired me, he's like, hey, just sell events. And we went from 100 events to 800 events within a year. And then after 2 years, it was running itself. It was smooth. And I said, well, either let me have this. Catering's too stressful to not own.
Okay.
In some ways, it's like you're dealing with mothers of brides, you're dealing with like the most important days of people's lives, and your workers are 16-year-olds. So it can be stressful and you're dealing with food. And so it's an awesome profession. I love it. But I got to the point where it's like, cool, we've grown too big. I want to either own this or start my own. And he said, well, good luck. This is running itself. Let me just keep this and you start your own. And it's been a cool experience. And I've loved creating this and loved the crazy growth we've had in these past 2 years, which has been really fun.
So what do you think has attributed to the crazy growth you've had in the past 2 years?
I think number one is we are doing the things people want. We've recently just gotten back into SEO, and that's where a lot of my background came from. And then we've just done a bunch.
Yeah. So tell us more about SEO. So what does SEO stand for?
Yes. SEO is search engine optimization. That's a fancy word for it's the top result on Google. Google SEO is going to be different than TikTok SEO. And my specialty kind of is in Google SEO than some of these other platforms. There's going to be people way more educated on those and listen to those. But Google's whole job, and this is the best way I describe it, Google's whole job is to answer questions. So even when you type in the word pencils, that's it. You're really asking either what is a pencil, where can I buy a pencil, local pencil shops. And so Google does its best to answer your question or what it thinks your question is. And what's amazing is 90% of the time, or it's almost like 99% of the time, your answer is on the first page of Google. And so a lot of people are like, oh, get to page 1 of Google. And there's kind of 3 different ways you can do it. First one is paid ads. So Google AdWords, you can pay to be the top. And those used to be purple back in the day. They now have that little ad word right next to them. If you ever search something, if you search restaurants near me, the first thing that's going to be popping up are Google ads. And basically why Google adds a little ad word next to it is because it says, oh, this is just the people that paid us the most. So it's like, yeah, it kind of answers the question, but it's really who paid us the most money to be at the top.
So do you run those Google ads?
Yeah. So we run those. Those are effective on keywords that we don't care about. And keywords are what you're searching. So if you're searching pencils, or if you're searching caterers near me, or you're searching caterers or Utah caterers, Provo caterers, like I could keep going on, but those keywords I run ads on that wouldn't pop up as crisp catering, because Google's just trying to answer the question of best caterers or a list of caterers. And so primarily how Google's going to answer it is through those ads that you pay for. So we pay for those top, and those are the first 3 searches typically. If it's a service, it's typically a map. And you guys have all seen that. That's called local search. And that's based on reviews, how close you are to the company, and all of that. And that is a really good tool for a lot of people. And Google's saying you'll find your answers most likely either with a paid ad or with local search. That's what typically says. And then that next thing is SEO, what SEO really impacts. And that's called organic searches. Does that kind of make sense? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
It's kind of a confusing world, but that's how I best explain where SEO falls in. And that is what Google thinks the best website for what you're asking. So if you type in caterers near me, the number 1 is going to typically going to be Yelp saying top 10 caterers in Salt Lake City, or top 10 caterers in Provo. And then there'll be a couple more, and then it will have a website. Typically, maybe it's going to be position 7, probably like number 7. And it's going to be the first catering company that's fighting for catering near me. So that kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot about it, but yes. And I can go into how you rank higher on that, but yeah.
Yeah. I want to go into that because everyone listening on here has a website, or if you don't, go get a website. But we all want to rank high on that, because if you're not on the first page, there's a good chance you'll have 0 clicks.
Yes.
And if you're not in the first, what'd you say, 5 results?
I think it's 66% of clicks come in the first 3, 90% come in the first page, 9% come on page 2, 1% come on pages 3 through whatever. And typically, if someone can't find the answer on page 1 or 2, they re-ask the question, or they ask a more detailed question because they're like, I asked the wrong question.
No, yeah, that makes sense. So how do the photographers on here, the landscapers, the handyman, how do they rank better? So that way when someone searches for it, they're the ones that get the business.
Yeah. So really there's 4 or 5 really good ways to rank higher. And Google really appreciates companies that are fighting for these top spots. So one of the big ones is website speed. So does your website even run properly? If it doesn't run properly, or if it's awkward or ugly, or it looks like it was made 15 years, 20 years ago, you've all been to websites like that. There's a reason you see those less and less as time goes on. And so Google actually tracks a couple key data points from their end, and it's bounce rate. So they know who's jumping off your page after clicking in it. So you click on it, you leave, you go to someone else's page, and you stay on that page. Google's like, oh, number 2 was way better than number 1 because the speed of it was faster. So speed is a big one. And the easiest way is get a good domain user. Wix is a good one. There's a couple, but my number 1 importance when deciding which website domain host I was going to use, it was who has the highest website speed, because I can make it pretty. I can look at code. I can make it feel smooth. And most of these companies are at the point where they all have tools to make it look good, but the speed is not equal across all of them. And so I've used Wix. I really like Wix. We've used Squarespace. I've used SquareUp, and I didn't love that, but it just because it was so slow. And it was like, it felt like an old website just because of the speed. So that's my first and foremost, because Google reads that really negatively. And just to backtrack a little bit, these 5 things that I'll go into, they affect something like this big fake number called domain rank. And your domain rank is what Google is saying your page's strength is. And it ranks it on a scale from 1 to 100. Funny enough, I think Google's ranked 6th on that 1 to 100 scale, which is funny. It's like, it's Google. How can Google not be 1?
Right.
I think Facebook's number 1, Twitter, some of those big social media platforms are the top ones. And I'll go into why, but biggest thing is all of those companies, what they have in common is they're fast. And so that plays into your domain rank. And so speed, content, backlinks, title tag, and keywords are the 5 things that really impact your domain rank. And the better of each of those 5 you have, the higher your domain rank will be. And what that means is every time you put a new page out, so say you add an About Us page, if your domain rank's high, Google's going to look at that and say, ooh, this page is going to go above 500 other websites because I already trust it. It's already a company I trust, or it's already a website I trust because of all of its other content and all of its other success and things like that.
Okay. So the first one you said was speed.
Yeah, the speed of your website.
And then what was number 2?
Number 2 is content. This is revolutionary with AI. AI has changed content, and that's why it's slowly going to drop in Google's algorithm, because AI is going to just be creating blogs or creating
AI creates my blog, right?
Yeah, it's perfect. But it's going to start doing this to a huge degree. And so what's going to happen is AI is going to almost dilute Google's trust in content. But it used to be that content was king. If you had a blog about, for me, how to make cookie dough or edible cookie dough, it would rank it high just because you have that. And the more pieces of content about catering and about food you have, the more Google has an idea of what you actually do. And so that's why content's still powerful, is Google wants to know what your website even is. And the more you explain, well, we do catering. Well, what type of catering? Well, we do catering where we cook on site. Well, what does that mean? What's the type of food you have? Well, this is our menu. This is how we make things. And so the more content, and that's why a blog is really powerful, is it doesn't detract from your website or your users, because your users aren't maybe ever going to click on your blog, and your users are probably never going to read about why your soda bar is the best. But when Google's looking at me versus my competitor, and I have a full 2,000 word blog about soda, it's going to put me above my competitor because it's saying I'm the expert at answering the question, what is a soda bar? Even if it doesn't show my blog, even if it's just showing my website itself. So that's number 2 still. It might drop here pretty soon, but that's at least my number 2 is content.
Yeah, I would never think, like, when I was running a window cleaning, home maintenance business, that I should have a blog on how to do that stuff. Because to me, it's just like, oh, extra time doesn't matter, doesn't help me. But it does help you rank better, because you can really tell Google, I know what I'm talking about. I can answer this person's question that is doing the Google search.
Along with that, for me, Google is just seeing who cares the most. Who's going to fight for its business? Who cares about its website, its customers the most, and answer the most amount of questions? That's what Google cares about. And so that's why content's so high up. And that's why Facebook and Instagram and these social media platforms are so high, is they have a page for every single person with hundreds of words of content. And so there's 100 times the amount of pages Facebook has than Google will ever have, or that all of these other companies have, because content. And so that's why they rank higher. And that's what Google's looking for. It just, it kind of answers the question of, really, what are you? And what are you? And what are you? And what are you? And that's what these blogs and other things do.
Yeah. So what if we connect our social media pages to our website? Because then if I post something on Instagram for my business, then it will show up on my website. Does that help the website rank better?
It depends. So they're called spiders. They crawl the background of your website and they read the code. So if Instagram can read that code as the words that you have on there. So if you're like, cool, I want my Instagram post to pop up on my website and I use this link, that content only reads if Google can read it. And so you have to just do some digging and you have to deep dive as to if it can read it in terms of content.
Yeah.
The thing it's beneficial for, linking your social media and your website, or linking crispcatering.com to my bio and my username on Instagram, is backlinks. And that's my third biggest one. How Google looks at a backlink is a hyperlink. So you've all seen a hyperlink, lights up blue on someone's website or page.
Or if you want an example, go down to the show notes on this
Go
podcast.
to the show notes.
You'll see what it's talking about.
Yes, you'll see my URL in the show notes.
Mhm.
And what ends up happening is any place this URL is put, if it's on someone else's website. So for example, Instagram on its website has now catercrisp.com anytime you go to my profile. What that looks like to Google is that Instagram is promoting Crisp Catering. It's saying, oh, this website's powerful. Anytime it's put on anyone else's website, or like this, a podcast where it's in the show notes, it adds a backlink. It tells Google, oh, all of these other credible sources, Amazon podcasts or Spotify, all of these people I really trust, Google's saying, I trust these websites. They're at 80 domain rank. They're linking to catercrisp.com. Wow, this website must be legit. And backlinks are really hard to get, because how do you convince someone else on their website to put your link? Because what it does is, if I put a link to someone else, I'm actually saying, well, these people know catering more than me. This other company knows catering more than me. And Google's saying, well, why don't I just elevate them? Why do they ever have to come to your page? That's the worry about backlinks, is you don't want to give a lot of backlinks on your website. You don't want to be linking everywhere, or like, hey, check out this other window cleaning company, or check out this other catering company. Yeah. And you want them to link to you, because they're saying, oh yeah, we're awesome. And so there's a lot of ways to get backlinks, but yes, they're tricky. And every time you find a new way to do it, it gets harder and harder to do it.
Yeah. So you never really want to backlink to someone else who's a competitor, for example.
Yes.
But you could do someone who's maybe in a similar industry. So like, let's say I did videography, I could backlink to maybe photographers if that's something I don't do.
Yeah. That's exactly. And what it does is it really promotes your buddies. It's like, cool for me, like for venues that like we're buddies with, it's like, yes, I want to backlink to you because they'll backlink back. And they're like, you're promoting me, I'll promote you. And yes, exactly. But the worry is, well, if you want a keyword, or if you want to rank in wedding as a whole, then backlinking even to those people can hurt, but not enough. I always still backlink to those people, but yes.
So what are some easy ways that people can get backlinks for their website?
Yes. So the most common ways, I'm trying to backtrack on what my favorites. I'll tell you my newest favorite, and that is podcasting. Podcasting is the easiest way to get backlinks, because if you show up in someone's show notes, and Spotify, what other podcasts?
Apple, Amazon, Audible.
Yes, Audible. You have all of these different platforms. If they're in the show notes, now all of these credible companies are backlinking to you, even the weird ones, the weird podcast companies that just are there, they're backlinking to you. And what ends up happening is you get 5 or 6 backlinks per podcast you go on. Because the other ways, and the ways that I've always gotten backlinks when I've done it in the past, is I have to write a full blog for someone else's website. So they say, hey, well, we want more content. Will you write for our website? We'll give you a backlink. And so you can link yourself while you write this 2,000 worded thing, and it takes a lot of time, and you're trying to build it and you're trying to make it sound good. And they'll say, cool, you got a backlink. Here's a backlink from that. And that was 4 hours of work Whereas podcasts are still a lot of work, but it's kind of a cool way to get backlinks. I've been really excited about this. I've been trying to go on as many podcasts as I can because I love getting backlinks.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And that's a really easy way to do it. And I think everyone, I would think, knows a podcaster. I mean, if you don't, go meet some friends with podcasters. Say, hey, can I come on your show? There's a lot of podcasts that are looking for guests. I'll even recommend a few to you that you could probably get on that are huge. So we'll talk more after this. But so podcasts, get on those. That was number 3 on your list, right? And there's 5. What's number 4?
Number 4 is title tags. And title tag is what people read when they see your website. And you know a bad title tag or someone that hasn't ever edited their title tag when it says home, crisp catering. Have you ever seen that like home button before, or it say home and then it goes William Penn Elementary or whatever? It's like, that means they've never edited their title tag ever, because naturally it automates just home as the first words in your title tags. Now your title tags are about 32 characters, I think. There's a lot of free source or resources, like Moz.com has a free title tag checker. And what that does is type it in. You don't want it to like be too many words that it like cuts half of your title tag off. But title tags could be the most impactful thing. Your homepage should always be
name
classy.
Of your website.
Yes, I did. Mine is crisp catering, straight line, space, classy catering for less. And then I think it says that's crisp at the end.
And that's what shows up on Google, like when they see your site.
crispcatering.com. Now, if it's crispcatering/fry bar, that's a full different URL and full different website, and it's going to land or take you just to my fry bar. That title tag is cooking fries right at your event. Hot, fresh food for you and your guests. Totally different than crisp catering, classic catering for less. And that's because it's not my homepage. I'm trying to now market that we have the best fries. If it's paninis, it's hot and fresh paninis, pressed directly at your event, line speeds less than 15 minutes or your money back, or something like that. You could do, and what's going to catch people? What's going to bring people in? They were looking up paninis, and now all of a sudden they're like totally curious on, oh, I do have an event coming up. Cool, I do want this, but you want it to hook them. But those are 2 different title tags. Now, if you have a lot of website, or like if you're an e-commerce business or something like that, and you're constantly working through title tags, biggest, most important thing is get a title tag tester that does A/B testing. ClickFlow is a really good one that we used. So I worked for a review company. That's how I learned a lot of this stuff. And we switched the title tag from being like, I had to do reviews on like vitamins and like vitamin companies. And it was like, is Nutraceutical the best company? And that's what it was always for years, or like, hey, Nutraceutical, check out real reviews. We switched it to, is Nutraceutical a scam? ? Read real customer reviews. And immediately we went from, I think it was 100 clicks a month to almost 3,000 clicks a month.
Wow, that's huge.
It was unbelievable. And it's just because even though we were ranked number 7th on the page, if they read the word scam, they were going to click on our site. Our position on the page jumped up. The amount of time on page, because they're looking, is it a scam? They're reading our whole thing. Their bounce rates there. We had good content. And it was like, that title tag was unbelievable. And immediately company-wide, we changed every title tag to that. And then we slowly switched them. But it was like, if you get a 3,000% increase on clicks, we make 3,000 times more money if everyone does it. And we did it. And I think company grew by 10x in that year because of something weird like that. It was awesome. It was a really cool experience to see that, just that A/B testing of, is it a scam? Is it just shot up? It was awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like that one's extremely powerful.
Yes. Very
not
powerful.
that hard to do.
Not that, it's 32 characters. Switch it up. Look at what's getting you the most traction. And it's way more for the customer than it is for Google. It doesn't really answer Google's questions. And same with the meta description. It doesn't really answer Google's algorithm as much, besides Google's data points of how long are you staying on the page? And did it answer the question? Did people leave your website and go to a different one? So if your title tag isn't answering a question, then Google's going to dock you hardcore for that. But if people stay on your page, people click on the title tag, then slowly there's amazing benefits that come from changing your title tag. But not a lot in the long-term game, but short-term, really immediate results.
Yeah. I love that. What's number 5?
Number 5 is keywords. So the interesting thing is Google just wants to know, again, and this is similar to content, but it's an emphasis on words you want to rank. So if someone searches paninis, I want to rank there. And understanding what keywords people are searching and what keywords are on your page, very important. So for example, if I want to rank for soda bar in Utah, which is so funny that that's even a keyword, that like it gets enough traction that like Google's like, yeah, you get, and you can find out how many times people search. Kind of one of the best SEO tools is either you have SEMrush, you have Ahrefs, and you have Moz are kind of the 3 big ones that all compete. I'm really familiar with Ahrefs, and it tells you your domain rank. It tells you what keywords are similar to the ones you're looking for. Tells you which ones you're ranking for, at what position on the page you are. That's a really good data tool. So if you're wanting to go all in on SEO, I know that. I don't really know the other 2, but Ahrefs is really good to me in figuring all of that out. But the keywords is a big one where it's like, oh, how many people are actually searching catering? How many people are actually searching fry bar? And what are they searching? And knowing what that is almost as important as adding those words into your title tags, meta descriptions, and interesting enough, adding them as like highlighted points on your website. So for example, you have H1 tags, H2, H3, and then you have like your main body. So like regular content is all written in just your regular body. H1 tags tell Google this is really important. And so for us, our H1 tag is the most important. You can only put one H1 tag on your website and have it be this big bolded words kind of at the top. It's typically just says the name of the company. So Crisp Catering. We switched it for a while to Utah Catering because that's the number 1 searched keyword. And so it was like, cool, let's switch it to Utah Catering. So Google knows our most important thing is that we are local Utah catering. And then we've switched it back to Crisp Catering because it's confusing when it's like, hey, Utah Catering, and I didn't like it. So, yeah. but we've done it.
Yeah, right.
and it's important that, and our H2 is Utah Catering. And so understanding what the keywords are that you're trying to rank for. And then there's 2 different types of keywords. There's short tail and then there's long tail. And you can, Ahrefs will tell you long tail keywords. So it could be Utah Catering in Provo, Utah gets 500 searches a month. And it's like, whoa, I want 500 extra customers or 200 of those or whatever. Having those words on your website is a huge way to rank higher. So those are my 5. Those are my 5 big ones on SEO.
Those are huge. I feel like if people just master those,
yes.
like they'll probably be the top 1, 2,
yes.
3 results. And that can take you from wherever you're at to that 10 grand or more a month. Because a lot of this, I think, from what it sounds like, is you set it up once and you're done. Maybe you tweak it every once in a while, you test some things.
Yes and no. My big thing is Google knows if you're on the website. That was actually going to be one of my big ones is Google knows if you care enough about the website that you're willing to edit it. Because things like, for example, if content slowly starts ranking down and you're still doing the same amount of content, Google knows you haven't been paying attention because it's launches or it's changed. It just knows. And so Google wants you to pay attention to it. But yeah, a lot of it can run itself. That's why putting up 1 blog post a week or is kind of all you need because Google's like, oh, you love this. You love us. You're updating this. You're changing it. If your website gets outdated, update it every couple of years, 5 years, 6 years. It's like, do a rebrand. Don't do too big of a rebrand. Not rebrand, but re-spruce because Google hates too much of a change. But little updates here or there make a big difference because Google knows even small updates makes a big change because Google knows you care, which is all it's looking for in this algorithm.
Okay, so there's the half of it you set up, but then there's the upkeep, getting on podcasts, getting backlinks to your partners that you're promoting each other, doing a blog post. Do you use AI at all to do a blog post? Because most people aren't writers.
Yes. The truth is I haven't edited it all. I like my team writing it and I keep telling them to do AI, but they like it. And so I'll let them keep writing it. Yeah, more power to them. If you like writing, great. But I do have AI edit it and update it and make sure it's readable and because the same things that ChatGPT is looking for is the same things Google's going to look for. So if there are misspells or things like that, Google does look at you as less credible. And so that's why I have them run it through ChatGPT at least once or twice and make sure it makes sense and looks good.
Grammar's right. Things are spelled.
Yes.
Makes sense. Love that. Any last little tips or tricks that people should think about when coming to SEO?
No, just go on podcasts. Backlinks have always been my bane. It's been the hardest one for me, and it's been a cool tool for us, is going on podcasts and meeting cool people. It's the funnest part of my job. Come on, I get to meet cool people and talk about myself, which I'm narcircissistic.
Right.
Just kidding.
No, that's the fun part. That is a really fun part about being on podcasts, is you can talk about yourself, right? Oh man, no, it's a blast. Well, Daniel, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you.
Yeah, anytime. My guest today was Daniel Driggs. If you want to see what backlinks look like, go down in the show notes and you can see a real example of how I give Daniel backlinks to his website with this episode. If you'd like to get in contact with Daniel about his catering or anything else, check out his website, catercrisp.com, or even if you just want to see how he's applied everything we've talked about into his website, go check it out. They're also on Instagram at crisp.catering. You can reach out to them from there or just admire the gorgeous branding he's done on social media. As always, all the links are in the show notes. Well, that is it for today's episode. If this was helpful to you and your business, share it. I know you have entrepreneur friends that you want to see win just as much as I do. If you go on your screen, there's a button that lets you copy the link, or you could send it straight to a friend from the app through a text. Word of mouth is the biggest way this podcast grows, and I appreciate every one of you that shares it. And as always, it's not just about knowing the information, it's about taking the required action. Until next time, keep building. Hey, I told you I have something to give you, and it's a free 30-minute coaching session with me. I want you to crush 2024 and start by blazing a trail for the ones around you. If you go down to the show notes, there is a link where you can schedule a free call with me. Let's chat. And if it's a good fit, I promise I'll change your life. If it's not, I will connect you with somebody who can. Either way, I want to see you crush this coming year and can't wait to see your business explode.